Hey folks, it's Russ. Today's Wednesday, June 11th, 2025. Hope you're having a great day. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the biggest risk you can take, all right, and how most people ignore it. But before I get started, if you've never seen any of my videos, I've been involved in the work from home space for the last 18 plus years, and I've been very fortunate enough to be working full-time for myself since 2018. And it's my true passion to help other people generate mailbox money using social media and direct mail marketing. Now, most people just stay stuck in life, okay? And what I mean by that is they just settle for everything that they have. They don't go out of their way to take action, to do anything to better themselves. They think that, what they have is good enough, and, they settle for it. They stay stuck. Whether it's, living paycheck to paycheck, or, they don't take any risks at all, right? Because most people want to stay inside their comfort zone where they feel comfortable. And even if that means living paycheck to paycheck, most people will stay living paycheck to paycheck as opposed to, taking a risk and starting their own business, or, doing something outside the box, right? And that's the biggest thing in life that people ignore, and I think it's something, from people that I've watched and listened to over the years, it's something at the end of life that people look back on and they think, man, I could have done so much more to better myself. I could have been in such a different position in life, a different place in life, had I stepped out of the comfort zone and actually taken some risks. Right? Because like Mark Zuckerberg says, the biggest risk is not taking a risk. All right? So why would you want to settle for what you have in life when there's so much more to life? And it doesn't have to be all about, big fancy houses and fancy cars and all of that stuff. But you want to live life to the fullest, right? You only have one life, and it's very short. Even if you live to be 100 years old, it goes by quick. Why wouldn't you want the best possible life that you could have? And the only thing that's keeping you from having that is yourself, and you not taking a risk. You not stepping outside of your comfort zone and doing things you don't want to do to get to where you really, truly, deep inside want to be. Right? Nobody, who the hell wants to live paycheck to paycheck? Nobody. And if you're telling yourself you're all right with that, you're just lying to yourself. Because nobody that I know of, and nobody that has anything between their ears chooses to live paycheck to paycheck. Right? Excuse me. Nobody wants to live paycheck to paycheck. It's just nobody wants to. So, I used to be nervous about taking chances too. I was nervous about doing videos. I was nervous about, trying new opportunities. And it wasn't until I just said, I got nervous about being where I was in life, knowing that I was living paycheck to paycheck. That scared me. And I was like, I got to change. Something's got to change here if I want to go on and have a better life and build and leave generational wealth for my family. Something has got to change. And it wasn't until then, when it popped, that I actually started, going outside of my comfort zone and starting my own business. And now I have several businesses that I run. And anybody can do this. You just have to decide that it is, that's what you want, and then take action. Stay committed to it, show up every day, and stay consistent. Anybody can do this, right? And, as far as the postcards, I was nervous about starting the postcards because I had started so many business opportunities before that, it just didn't work out for me because it was me. It wasn't the program. It was me. I was not committed to it 100%. I would start an opportunity, and then after a couple of weeks of being excited, I would lose interest and move on to the next shiny object. And I did that for years and years. And then I got into the postcards, and I was nervous when I started postcards. I was like, is this going to work or not? It took me 5 weeks before I made a sale with a postcard. And it's one of the best decisions I've ever made, was not giving up on it. I was ready to several times. I was like, wow, 5 weeks have gone by. What is, why haven't I made a sale with a postcard yet? And then boom, I had a sale. And once I saw that it worked, I said, you know what? This is it. I'm going to stay committed to the direct mail marketing. And I have ever since. And it's been a blessing. It works if you work it. It works if you work it. But you have to take a risk. You have to be willing to take a risk on yourself and to bet on yourself. And know that, what's the worst thing that's going to happen if you start a business and it doesn't work out? You're going to be in the same boat you are right now, right? But at least you know that you tried. And just because you fail at one business doesn't mean you can't succeed at another business, right? It's all about learning and learning to be, ride the roller coaster, because that's really what entrepreneurship is. It's a roller coaster ride. There's so many curveballs that get thrown when you're an entrepreneur that it's literally a roller coaster. There's highs, there's lows, and that you just have to learn to become resilient and get through it. And, it's totally up to you, but the biggest risk you can take is on yourself. And most people ignore this, and then most people they go through life just having a mediocre life when you could have a greater life. And again, it's not about the material things. It's about having time freedom. It's about being able to do what you want, when you want, for as long as you want, and not worry about cash flow. If your child needs some financial help for whatever reason, you can give that to them. If you need a new car, you can get that. If you have an emergency that comes up and you need a couple $1,000s, you have it. And you don't have to worry about that. That's what it's all about. But if you're afraid to try anything new, then you're risking staying the same forever. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to stay the same forever. There's more to life than just settling for what you have. Right? You can have a far better life and stop living paycheck to paycheck, and even quit your 9-to-5 job if that's what you want. Most people don't like their 9-to-5 jobs. Most people can't stand it. You can have all that if you're willing to show up every day, take massive action, and stay consistent. Right? So you're one decision away from changing your life, and you just have to bet on yourself and know that you can do it, and tell yourself that you can do it, and drill that into your head every single day. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm not quitting until I get the results that I want. And then when I get the results I want, I'm going to take it up another notch. And you just keep building momentum. Okay? So that's it for this video. I hope you found value in it. If you did, please consider giving me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and click that notification bell so that you're notified each and every time I upload a new video. And if you need any coaching or further assistance, reach out to me. I'm here to help you. If you need an opportunity to join, you can go to joinruss.com, check out my opportunities, check out my coaching, check out my newsletter, get all the good stuff over here. Joinruss.com. All right? So I appreciate each and every one of you. I look forward to seeing you in my next video. And until then, stay well, be safe, and peace be with you. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and take action.